Salutations readers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today I'm going to be filming my Minnesota Spring Diary number 5. So right now it is literally May 3rd. It's around 11:10 a.m. and I'm just like, you know what, let's start filming this intro now. I'm feeling like a vlogging moment because why not? I do have a couple of hopefuls. I don't want to say like so many books I might want to read in the next few days because I'm like, honestly, that's just not gonna happen. So I do have a few books here that I do want to read, but I also want to show y'all I actually have this new shirt here. It's actually, I got it from a concert that I went to actually earlier this week. Actually, I literally went to this concert on Monday. Yes, with my mom, is to see Citizen Soldier, so this is actually a Citizen Soldier merch. Okay, I really love their music, but for the most part, it was just really fun, and I'm just so glad I got a chance to actually see them live, and now I have merch from them. And also in the past couple of days, I've actually been doing a lot of crocheting. I've been crocheting some book sleeves, so these are my more recent additions to them. This is actually my very first one here. I don't particularly like that one, but I do like these ones though. This one is for my personal use. This one's gonna be for my baby sister. But anyways, let's actually talk about some mood reading hopefuls, shall we? So first up on the docket here, I do have the Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This is, I think, for like read a book by an Asian author prompt, pretty much the freebie prompt. Now, I did get further into this book since I filmed and edited my Asian Readathon TBR video. I'm actually about 45%-ish somewhere into this book, and I did put this book down for at least a couple weeks now, and I don't know if I'm really as interested to read this story anymore, to be honest. Even as I continued on reading, I was kind of like, I don't know if I really like it as much anymore. We shall see if this is still gonna be on the TBR or not, but if I end up DNFing it, we'll talk about when we get there. But as of right now, it's still on the TBR. Just not as much of a high interest anymore, unfortunately. And then the other book I want to read is because the fact that I actually finally got the audiobook to this. I finally got the audiobook haul from my library, so I do want to read it, and it is due in like a little bit more than a week from now, so I do want to read it pretty soon. And that is The Emperor and the Endless Palace by Justinian Huang. This fits for the read a book that's like a timeless read prompt, so I really want to read it. And it's also not very long, so it's like only a little bit over 300 pages, and I think the audiobook is about 10 hours. So like that is definitely something I can like finish in like a couple of days. I feel like this will be a pretty good book to start off the Asian Readathon for sure. The only thing I know about it is that I think it's been mismarketed based on what I've been hearing from people who have at least enjoyed it and read it. That is definitely mismarketed. It's not quite romantic-y. It's more, at least one reviewer called it like romantic thriller, like a queer romantic thriller. So I'm gonna go in the mindset of that, and that there's a lot of graphic sexual content, so definitely to keep that in mind. The goal is to actually start this today because I do have reading sprints later on today, so the goal is to start this. And then I do have a couple other books here on my Kindle that I will also like to read, and also have other art books and things, but they're for other video stuff. So yeah, we're doing some simultaneous vlogging right now, so we shall see how all that goes. But I also do need to edit my April wrap-up video, so I do need to work on that today. So I don't know how much of The Emperor and the Endless Palace I'll be reading, but I do need to at least start with that. But I need to finish editing my wrap-up video, so it'll be up for y'all really soon as if I'm recording this. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have for y'all really as of right now. So yes, I think I'll talk to y'all tomorrow with hopefully some initial thoughts on The Emperor and the Endless Palace. Salutations, y'all. So it is the next day, and I got a couple updates for y'all. So I'm actually just gonna get this out the way and say that I'm officially DNFing the Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. I looked at it. I was looking at this book. I was like, okay, let me see if I can come back to it. And then I'm just like, I don't think I'm really interested in the story anymore. Like, I really don't know if this is really a book problem or this is just a me problem. But I think for the most part, this is just a me problem. I'm just not interested in this story anymore. I thought the story would be one thing, and then I kept reading it. I'm like, okay, I think I'm kind of interested in the way that this actually is and not what I thought it was in my head. And now I'm just like, kind of bored, especially when I was like reading reading some of it in like April, and then I kind of put it down because I was like, well, I no longer have the audiobook anymore, so let me just put this down. Let me come back to it when in May, you know, for the Asian readathon, since I put it in the TBR. And now I'm just like, you know, I'm not really interested anymore, unfortunately. I don't care to know more about Priya and Malini's journey with each other and their goals. I'm like, I don't really care, unfortunately. And it sucks too, because I have this book and I do have the sequel, and I was looking forward to reading like that third book when I was gonna come out in November, but now I'm just like, honestly, if I ever do want to go back to this trilogy, I could, but as of right now, I really am not interested in going back to this book. So I'm just gonna, it's just a solid DNF at this point. Not something that I will never come back to, but definitely not something I plan to come back to in the near future, unfortunately. So that's the Jasmine Throne, so sorry about that. But I did officially start The Emperor and the Endless Palace by Justinian Huang. I also have the audiobook here as well. I actually started reading this during my reading sprints yesterday, which, by the way, thanks to anyone who actually came and was just there, even if it's just a little bit, because honestly, it was just a lot trying to like figure out my internet connection, which is still, right now, as I'm recording, still, it's still going in and out. So we're gonna have to figure out how to make that, well, we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, we're having internet problems, but you know, we'll make it work. Anyways, just to say that I am 3 hours, 32 minutes into it, so it's 36%, which in the physical copy is about page 119. And I'm still kind of not totally sure how I really feel about this book, honestly. It's nothing bad or anything. I'm just kind of like, all right, cool. This is where we're at. So where exactly are we going with this? It doesn't really, I don't know. I feel like we should be beyond the setup stuff, which right now we pretty much are beyond setup. Now things are moving, but I'm not totally sure. And it's, again, we're also doing like 3 different timelines with 3 different people with their own stories. So it's kind of like I'm trying to keep my attention on all 3 of these things. And at this point, I'm kind of just waiting for all 3 of them to become one thing, because my brain is just like, okay, we going from here, and then the next chapter is someone else, and then the next chapter is someone else, and then again. So I'm just kind of like, okay, sure, why not? So yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about the book in general. Now, as far as each individual timeline, I am definitely more interested in the timeline of Dongxion, who is, his timeline is 4 BC, which BCE, which is during the Han Dynasty, and this is actually where we meet like the actual Emperor in the Endless Palace, the title in and of itself. So it's the oldest timeline. I'm definitely more intrigued with that one, since it does deal with the actual title of the book. But I'm also interested in He Shishun, who is, I think, 1740, and we're dealing with fox spirits in that one. That one also interests me because I also did read The Fox by Yang Shichu in February, so I am pretty curious about anything regarding fox spirits now, so that's interesting. Just the present day one with River, I'm not really sure what to feel about him, honestly. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I guess you're just the only one here that's actually in our current timeline, so let's just see where you go, I guess, how your timeline deals with anything regarding these other ones. So yeah, but there's definitely some overlap already, though. There's definitely something regarding with Peaches. Every single time I notice anything regarding to Peach, I'm like, now, does this actually have any bearings on the plot or their stories? I don't really know, but it's something I make note of, because I'm also annotating it. I don't have any tabs, even though I do have an actual tabbing system in here. Have I actually used the tabs? No. All I did is just done some underlining, highlighting, and then anything of actual, like, ooh, interesting, poetic writing goodness, I use my blue gel pen here. But I have been making note of anything regarding Peaches, because, like, if you really look at the cover here, you know, you see, like, the hand, you know, with the peach. I don't know, maybe there's importance to it. Is it important? It could be. You never know. I don't know. It just seems interesting. So I'm just gonna keep note of anything regarding peaches, whether anything peach flavor, peach scented, anyone actually eating peaches. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep that stuff in mind. I don't really know this actually has any bearing on plot, character. No, I don't know. I'm just keeping that in mind, and I'm just letting y'all know about that. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of like, okay, I just feel like we're having 3 different stories, and I'm just trying to figure out, okay, so what about these 3 different stories are gonna come together? We shall see. And also, despite the fact that I've seen reviews like saying like how like erotic this is, I'm like, well, there is definitely a lot of sexual things, even lusty things. I'm like, but it's not as erotic as I thought it was gonna be, honestly. Now, granted, that could easily change as I continue on reading, but as of right now, it's not as much, honestly. So, I don't know. But anyways, that's just pretty much all I have about the Emperor in the Endless Palace. I don't know if I will finish it today. I highly doubt I'll finish it today. My brain is kind of like all over the place right now, but it's all right. Do hope though to finish it at least tomorrow. So that's the goal for tomorrow. But I do want to come on here and tell y'all that I got some book mail. So this is actually some books that I ordered on Indie Bookstore Day via bookshop.org. So this is actually 3 out of 4 books because I pre-ordered a book, so that book won't be coming in until next week most likely. But anyways, let me show y'all the 3 books that I got. So the 3 books I got are all self-published books because I figured, you know what, why not just order self-published books on Indie Bookstore Day. So the first book I have here is The Ordeal of Being Known by Malia Rose. So all I know is that this is a romance, this is contemporary romance, and it's actually written by a Palestinian American author. Yes, I'm quite certain that this is written by a Palestinian American author. And the only thing I know is that we follow 2 individuals, Jess and Layla, who meet the golden boy of NBA, so that this boy from NBA can commission this artist. And it's pretty much just the ordeal being known and exploring this loneliness. The loneliness of healing, the pain of acceptance, and the longing of being seen and known. Sounds like a good time. Also, I do like the cover. I don't know if y'all can see that. Next up, I have Fallen Thorns by Harvey Oliver Baxter. This one is, I remember this being like, I thought this was tagged as like queer, hot. Is it dark academic? Well, not quite. Maybe like not your typical dark academia, especially not the dark academia that I'm used to, but I do know that this features an Arrow Ace main character, which really intrigued me to read this. And I can't remember if this was a first book in a series or not. Or maybe this was a standalone. I can't even remember. Okay, actually I do think this actually is first book in the series, so yeah. And the tagline here says, "Is death not simply death?" I think there's something regarding someone who's supposed to die and I think they came back to life or something. I think it's is it vampiric? Maybe it's vampiric, hold up. Yeah, I think this is actually vampiric, so even more interesting. Arrow A's vampiric novel. That's first book in the series. Why not? And also the texture. Oh my gosh. Can more books have this texture of like this matte feeling? Now the third book here, last but certainly not least, is Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. So this one I heard of because of Heather from Here Booktubes. This is one of her favorite books. I just know that this is older main characters, like millennial characters. Like I think they're in like their 40s, late 40s, early 50s, around there, somewhere around there. And I think main guy here finds out, I think he figures out that he's demisexual and bi, so I'm like, yes, why not? And it's dealing with online gaming. I'm like, well, yes. What else is there to really know? I don't know. What else is there to know? Sounds like a great old time, so I got a physical copy of it because why not? But anyways, yes, these are the 3 indie books, well, the 3 self-published books that I'm adding to my TBR that I got during Indie Bookstore Day. So yeah, this is most of my order anyways. I still need to get the 1 book that I pre-ordered. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to reading all 3 of these books. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really have for y'all for today. And I'll definitely talk to you all tomorrow. And maybe I'll finish The Emperor in the Endless Palace, or maybe just get further into it. I don't even know. But this is pretty much my main current read, honestly, for this video diary. So we shall see if anything changes. Salutations, y'all. It is Sunday evening, and I just want to let y'all know that I have finished The Emperor in the Endless Palace by Justinian Wong. I don't know how I'm going to rate this. I really had to ponder my actual thoughts and feeling of this book. Because for a while, for a solid like third or so, I was listening to the audiobook, and then I was like, you know what? I feel like annotating, I'm just really in the annotating mood, I guess, to read something physically, so I just continue on with just reading with my eyeballs instead of on with the audiobook. Things definitely picked up speed, and things, like the timelines really I started to see the overlap, that's what it is. I was starting to see the overlap in between the 3 timelines. And when I started seeing the overlap and the similarities, I was like, oh, okay, and that's when it got really, really interesting for me. And then I got to the end, and then I was like, what the actual fuck? Is this really how you're gonna end it? But then I had to really sit down and think about it, because I was like, how am I gonna talk about this without spoiling it? I would say let's go with just like really the marketing of this book, calling it like a romantasy. I won't quite call it the service particularly to call it like a queer romantasy, especially the thriller, because it definitely has like thrilling aspects to it that, despite the fact I don't really read thrillers that much, very very like once in like a, even more rare than like a romance novel these days, it definitely has the makings of like a thriller. So it's like romantasy but also a thriller, which is very much interesting. So, but it's just that when people think of romantasy, especially in nowadays in publishing, as far as books that are being published, coming out, marketed, bought and sold as romantasy, people go in with a certain expectations of romantasy. So I don't want to come here and tell y'all that this is romantasy, because I don't want people to come in here being very, very disappointed, feeling like they've been bamboozled. I don't want to bamboozle y'all. So while I'm trying to say that it's not quite romantasy, but it is also romantasy in its own very, very unique way, very, very particular way. Now, what do I mean by this? One, let's start with like the fantasy aspect. As someone who's a fantasy reader, pretty avid fantasy reader, I wasn't quite sure on what about this was actually fantasy. But then I thought about it some more, and I thought, like, you know, the actual idea of reincarnation and just the way that these same specific people have been seeing each other through time and time again, that's just an endless loop, that is indeed fantastical. So that's actually where the fantasy starts and stops, right there. It's just these three lives, because we have these three timelines, but they literally are reincarnated people. They're the same people over and over again that they have seen each other over the past 2,000 years. And a little bit more, seen each other in multiple timelines in the past 2,000 years. So that's where the fantasy is, and it feels like there's this endless loop that just does not seem to end, honestly. So that's where the fantasy part comes in. Now, as far as it being a romance, now I know for all romance readers, people don't call it a romance unless they end up together in the end. But I want to say, does it always have to be, or does that make romance very limiting genre? Romance is indeed a very self-indulging genre. However, I feel like if we just say that it's only a romance when the two people end up together, it feels very limiting. What about things that are just like a love story? So then it's like, our love story is therefore not a romance in and of themselves? Which I think is what the book really questions, because there's more to a romance than just the fact that they are falling in love and they end up together. There's more trials and tribulations that go along with it, especially with the multitude of romances, the outside forces that are interfering with said romances and love stories, and especially the ones that are like, okay, this is actually kind of cute. The other ones are like, yeah, this is quite questionable. The ones are like, okay, this is actually pretty toxic. What are we doing here? So I will just say that the inside flap here, where it says that it's an unpredictable roller coaster of a debut, that is a genre-bending romantic thriller that challenges everything we think we know about true love. I have to say, it definitely challenged my thoughts and feelings and regarding to romance, love stories, and stuff. It made me go, I'm not totally sure what I really think about this book. To the point, I really need to still sit with it more, but it has definitely made me think way more regarding like just fantasy, romance, even thriller. Like, this is just a very unique debut novel that I do wish more people to just read and like check out, honestly. You'd be surprised. I definitely like the writing. The sex scenes, well, it is indeed erotic, for sure. I won't count it as like erotica. The critique, no, not the critique actually. It's not even a critique, no. Scratch that. It is not a critique. The complaint. That's what it is. The complaint I'm hearing in regards to the amount of sexual content in here. I'm just like, are y'all really that bothered about the amount of sexual content, or are y'all just bothered on who is engaging in his sexual activities? A complaint like that literally makes no sense to me, especially for a novel like this. It makes no sense. So I find that kind of complaint quite baseless, so we shall move on from that. Now, as far as the actual love stories in this novel, I have to say, they were very much interesting. I wasn't really sure, again, like I think I said it before in this video diary, that I wasn't really sure where we're heading. I was just like, okay, I'm kind of here for along the ride. We'll just see where things go. And then it took twists and turns like a thriller does. Then I'm gonna go, okay, and then you start seeing the similarities between the timelines. And you start seeing the revelations and stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty good. This is pretty clever, honestly. And then they got me kind of like, wait a minute, but then where are we gonna go towards the end here? And then I get to the end, and I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah, this is definitely a whirlwind of like emotions, love, and there's definitely things to for sure be warning. Like, of course we have sexual content in here, but there's also a lot of drug use, so fair warning on that. And as far as the sexual content itself, we definitely have consensual sex. There's also dubious consent going on, and we also have non-consensual to the point of it just being sexual assault and rape. So I just want to let y'all know that there are scenes of all sexual content of all things, and there's definitely a toxic relationship in here, because I wasn't really sure about a particular pair, because I was like, I'm not sure about these two here. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And then I get to the end, I'm like, oh, then that's when pieces were starting clicking in my mind as far as like, oh, this is a toxic relationship. This is a toxic love. All right, y'all. So this is editing me. I need to come in here and say that I do remember saying that I said there was only one toxic relationship in this book. Scratch that. There is literally more than one. There is more than one toxic relationship. A lot of the timelines are actually pretty, like, showing like a pretty toxic love. Sure, it's like a true love. They do love each other, but it is definitely not really the healthiest. It really is not. And even when we get to like the present timeline even too, it can definitely go along the lines of it being pretty toxic, which is why I do actually, now I'm really thinking about it, I actually even appreciate the ending way more, honestly. I definitely am starting to really process this book, because now I'm really thinking about the actual, like, relationships and stuff and how they all ended, but just, like, the way that even their journey together, it's definitely not the healthiest. And me just editing this video has made me realize that. So yeah, I just wanted to just come in here and say that, because it was not just one. There's more than one in here. So yes. Anyways, bye. Oh sheesh. And if we mixing that up with true love too, that's when things got real messy. And I'll say another thing too about these love stories. A lot of them are really I will say that all of this is pretty messy. Not messily written, but like the people in the relationship, they're messy. It's messy, but honestly, I really appreciate the novel for it. So as far as what I'm gonna rate it, right now I'm not quite certain. Maybe this could be like a 4.5. I don't know. Maybe 3.5, 3.75. I'm not really sure. I just think that what Justine and Huang has done with this novel, like their vision for this novel and how they wrote it, I think they did a good job. I think what they set out for it to be, I think they've achieved that. So that's honestly all I could hope for a novel whenever I read it, is that whatever their goal was, if they achieved it well, respectfully, well written and stuff, with good characterization, then I'm cool. Then that's pretty much what this book did. It did the thing, and I'm happy for it. So yeah, I will read more from this author in the future. And to the looks of it, I did peek on their Instagram, and I have seen in a couple of recent posts that he's definitely writing a second novel. So there will be a second book coming out. Don't know when, but probably in like the next 2-3 years. So I'm looking forward to what other stories that he has cooked up in his brain, because if it's even somewhere in a similar vein as this, I am going to be completely seated, because I'm like, yes, I would read more from you. That's The Emperor and the Endless Palace, and I do recommend the audiobook. It does have 3 narrators for each of the timelines, so I definitely do recommend the audiobook. Even though I didn't finish listening to it via audio, I did indeed prefer my physical reading experience, and I did do some annotating, even though yes, there are no tabs. Still debating if I'm going to go back to add those tabs, but something to consider. Maybe, probably not, we shall see. No promises made here, but I definitely do actually recommend the audiobook if y'all are into listening to audiobooks. But yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on The Emperor and the Endless Palace. Yeah, and I didn't really read much of anything else. I just was trying to finish that book. So yeah, now as far as what to finish next, a part of me already wants to go off the TBR, because like I got some ebook library holds, and I'm like, should I? I even have like a couple of physical library books. I was like, maybe I can read some of that. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to read next. But anyway, since I'm done though, I think I'm done reading for the day since I literally finished the book. So I'm gonna ponder more of my thoughts on The Emperor and the Endless Palace with my rating, and do some journaling stuff with my reading journal. But I'm also gonna need to actually finish editing my wrap-up video. So I'm gonna be working on that today. Once I'm done with that, I'll figure out my next read. So y'all will find out tomorrow what I decided to start, hopefully finish in this video diary. I would love to finish another book, since I already DNF'd something. So let's see if we can finish another book in this video diary. All right, salutations y'all. So it is Monday evening, and I don't really have much to update y'all on, except for the fact that I kind of want to end this video diary sooner than later. So I did start a book though on my Kindle. It's called Linghun by Ai Zhang. This is a gothic horror novella set in like a home place where you get to Talk to the Dead, I think. I don't know, I'm not really far into it. I'm only like 22 pages into it. I'm just here to say that I started it and I like the writing so far. I do find the concept of this novella interesting, but not really far enough to give y'all actual more thoughts on it. Just that I'm liking it so far, and then I haven't really been in the mood to read much right now. So yeah, that's pretty much where we at, and that's why I'm just gonna like, let me just end this video diary right now, because there's just nothing else for me to share for this video. Quick recap, which is not much, but you know, DNF, The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. Unfortunately, it's, you know, one of my books for the Asian Readathon, and I'm DNFing it. I'm also unhauling this series since I have the first book and its sequel. And then I read The Emperor in the Endless Palace by Justinian Huang. I think I decided on finally on a rating. I decided on like a 4-star book. This is really good. I think for what this book is, I think it's pretty good. I think it has successfully set out what it wanted to do, talking much like love, true love. It's definitely very much, it really takes some actual creative liberties in regards to the genres here. So definitely something to just like take a chance on if y'all like. Definitely still recommend the audiobook. I don't think it's particularly the best thing. I definitely had a good time with it. Didn't particularly love it. The writing is still pretty good, but it's not like my preferred writing style for like a 5-star read. 4 stars, definitely recommend it. I'm glad I read it. So that's first book into the readathon that I finished, and it fulfilled a prompt. So that's at least good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Definitely not the strongest start to a readathon, but it is still a start regardless. And I think for the fact that I did finish a book and it was a 4-star, I say it was a pretty good start. Definitely a slow one. Y'all let me know how's y'all start to the Asian Readathon so far, just the start of the month for y'all, kind of things. Very curious just to know like how the beginning of the month is treating y'all. If you made it this far into the video but you're not totally sure what to say, you want to leave me an emoji, just leave me a peach emoji down in the comments down below if you made it this far into the video. If you know, you know. Anyways, that is it. That's all I have for y'all, and I hope to see you on my next video. Bye.